Good day, everyone. Welcome to this video lecture, where we will delve into a decisive subject rural infrastructure. This unit aims to provide a comprehensive understanding of its meaning, significance, components, and the policies and organizations driving its development in India. Understanding rural infrastructure is not just about roads and electricity, it's about laying a foundation for inclusive growth, human development, and a resilient economy. By the end of this session, our objectives are clear. Firstly, you should be able to define rural infrastructure and appreciate its profound importance in national economic growth. Secondly, we will identify and categorize the various components that constitute this infrastructure. Thirdly, we will familiarize ourselves with the key organizations instrumental in its development. And finally, we will analyze the essential policies that guide and facilitate its improvement. These objectives will equip you with a holistic perspective on this vital sector. Let's begin with an introduction to rural infrastructure. Infrastructure is a foundational element for any nation's progress, crucial not only for economic expansion but also for the advancement of human development. In India, this challenge is particularly significant given our demographic and geographic realities. The majority of India's landmass comprises rural areas, home to more than two-thirds of our country's inhabitants, residing across approximately 6.4 lakh villages. This vast population is dispersed over 3.28 million square kilometers of our geographical territory, making the provision of fundamental infrastructural amenities a significant logistical and developmental obstacle. Recognizing the immense potential and the pressing need, the Indian government deeply understands the imperative to build and enhance. The Indian government deeply understands the imperative to build and enhance its rural infrastructure. To achieve this, it has established lofty objectives aiming for nothing less than a complete transformation of rural areas by the year 2024. This vision is being pursued through focused interventions in critical sectors, primarily transportation, healthcare, education, and connectivity. These four pillars are seen as instrumental in bridging the developmental gap between rural and urban India. Let's elaborate on the first two crucial pillars. The improvement of transportation infrastructure in India's rural areas is a primary goal. The government intends to build new roads and enhance existing ones to improve the connectivity between towns and villages. This strategic development will not only make it easier for individuals to move about but will also significantly strengthen the economic and commercial activities that takes place in these regions, facilitating market access for agricultural produce and goods. Regarding medical care, the government aims to elevate the quality of healthcare facilities in rural areas by constructing a greater number of primary health centers and hospitals. This measure is designed to ensure that people living in rural locations can receive high quality medical care closer to home. Additionally, to encourage greater hygiene and prevent the spread of diseases, concrete efforts are being made to improve sanitation facilities and increase access to clean drinking water, which are fundamental to public health. Education is yet another essential component of rural development, with the goal of ensuring that children in rural areas have access to high quality education. The government is working towards the establishment of additional schools and universities in these areas. A particular emphasis is being placed on the provision of vocational training to equip young people living in rural areas with the skill they need to be successful in the workforce, aligning education with employment opportunities. Moreover, connectivity is a primary area of concentration. There are a number of different efforts that the government is putting into action in order to bridge the digital divide and give internet connectivity to rural communities. All of these initiatives will make it possible for rural areas to gain access to vital information, make use of various internet services, actively participate in the burgeoning digital economy, fostering innovation and entrepreneurship. Now, let's pivot to the profound importance of rural infrastructure. It is without exaggeration one of the most important factors determining the overall growth of a nation. One of the most significant advantages of improving rural infrastructure is its positive impact on economic growth. Rural companies are able to flourish when they have access to reliable roads, energy, telephone lines, and irrigation infrastructure. This empowerment farmers and craft people the ability to sell their products to a wider audience and access better markets. With improved transportation linkages, production cost can be significantly reduced and commerce can be increased, which in turn makes agricultural products more competitive. Furthermore, rural infrastructure makes it easier for people to start their own business by supplying vital services such as consistent power and internet connectivity. This environment enables small scale firms to emerge and thrive, contributing directly to the gross domestic product. Agricultural production continues to be the foundation of rural economies, which is why investments in infrastructure are absolutely essential for achieving both productivity and sustainability. Well constructed irrigation system ensures that water is used effectively, hence decreasing reliance on unpredictable rainfall patterns. Farmers are able to move their goods more effectively and reduce post harvest losses when they have access to adequate roadways and proper storage facilities. The availability of technology and contemporary farming techniques, which can be achieved through enhanced internet connectivity, also contributes significantly to an increase in crop yield and quality. Collectively, these developments directly boost rural livelihood and critically strengthen the nation's ability to provide food security for its population, ensuring a stable supply of agricultural produce. A robust and properly connected rural infrastructure has its potential to generate significant employment opportunities and enhance income for rural populations. By attracting investments in agriculture, tourism, and small enterprises, it creates a vibrant local economy. The direct construction of roads, bridges, schools, and hospitals itself creates employment opportunities for the surrounding areas, which in turn reduces the number of people who feel compelled to move to urban centers in search of work. Furthermore, increased access to financial institutions, often facilitated by better infrastructure, further empowers rural entrepreneurs by offering loans and other forms of assistance to new and existing businesses. The ability of rural inhabitants to achieve financial stability and higher living standards is fundamentally contingent upon the existence of such a vibrant local economy. Infrastructure upgrades in the area of education and healthcare directly influences the indicators of human development. For education, students are able to attend school without any difficulty if there are reliable roads and transit options, and digital learning is made possible by the consistent availability of energy and internet connectivity. Regarding healthcare, the improvement of roads in rural areas is of great advantage to healthcare facilities since it ensures prompt access to medical assistance, especially in emergencies. In addition, the availability of electricity and clean water in hospitals considerably improves the quality of healthcare services leading to better patient outcomes. Collectively, these improvements contribute to lower death rate and enhances general satisfaction with life across rural communities. The development of rural infrastructure significantly helps to improve connectivity between rural and urban areas, which in turn strengthens the economic interaction between the two. Transportation systems that are efficient boost trade and investment flows, while communication networks that are upgraded bridges the information gap, ensuring that knowledge and opportunities are disseminated more widely. People living in rural areas are able to access opportunities in urban marketplaces without having to permanently relocate because of this enhanced connection. This dynamic interaction helps to preserve cultural identities and customs within rural communities as individuals can maintain their roots while also participating in broader economic activities. It fosters a more integrated and cohesive society. Finally, a well planned rural infrastructure can be a powerful tool for sustainable development and environmental conservation. Eco friendly technologies such as solar energy, rainwater collection system, and environmentally friendly transportation options can be seamlessly incorporated into a comprehensive built rural infrastructure. It is common for people living in rural areas to rely directly on natural resources for their means of subsistence. Responsible infrastructure planning therefore helps to preserve the environment while also fostering economic expansion. Sustainable infrastructure development actively helps to reduce the amount of deforestation, mitigate soil erosion, and prevent water depletion that might otherwise occur. This thoughtful approach ensures that we maintain ecological equilibrium for future generations. In conclusion, the significance of rural infrastructure cannot be overstated. It is not merely essential for the advancement of the economy, but is also profoundly critical for the social welfare and overall development of any nation. To foster truly equitable growth and ensure that people living in rural areas have access to the same opportunities as those living in urban areas, government and policymakers need to give rural infrastructure expenditure a much higher priority. A well developed rural infrastructure does not only betters the life of people living in rural areas directly, but it also serves as a powerful engine helping to boost the economy and strengthen the social stability of the entire nation. Moving beyond the general importance, let's now dissect the specific components of rural infrastructure. Enhancing the general well being, productivity, and connectivity of rural communities is fundamentally dependent on the strategic development of these elements. They serve as the bedrock upon which rural economies are built and sustained. We can broadly categorize these crucial components into several key areas. Transport infrastructure, including roads, bridges, and public transport, energy infrastructure, focusing on electricity and cooking fuel alternatives, housing infrastructure, educational facilities, encompassing schools and adult learning centers, water supply and sanitation systems, communication infrastructure covering mobile and postal services, and finally, health infrastructure through primary health centers and mobile units. Each of these plays an indispensable role in empowering rural communities and bridging the developmental gap with urban areas, enabling them to contribute meaningfully to national progress. Dear learners, today we have learned about the meaning of rural infrastructure and vision of government in rural transformation. We have also gone through the key pillars of transformation and growth of basic infrastructure. We have also discussed about the importance of rural infrastructure. In the next video lecture, we shall discuss about transport infrastructure, energy infrastructure, housing, and educational facilities expanded in rural areas. We shall also discuss about water supply, sanitation, and health services with their challenges in implementation. Till then, keep listening and keep learning.